How's it going, everyone? Found this funny video that appeared on my recommended. I don't know shit about Ben Shapiro, and I don't know shit about Kamala Harris either, but I do know whose side I'm on in this video, and I want to talk about this guy specifically. Well, talk about is the wrong word. I'm gonna make fun of him, is what I'm gonna do, because this guy is so unbelievably ridiculous. I don't even know why the producers didn't step in and just drag him off the show. And because nobody bothered to duct tape his mouth shut to let Ben Shapiro speak, I'm gonna do that for him. So, let's get after it.
Well, okay, we're gonna take this chair. Look at that.
Hey, Ben.
This dude looks like he moderates Reddit threads for a living. Just some quick lore about him. He's a transgender. Or she's a transgender. I don't fucking know. It's a transgender. I think I'm going to start using it just so I stay gender neutral and insult everyone equally. But for this video, I'm going to stick with she because she doesn't deserve any respect at all for how she conducted herself.
Like a bro, my friend. All right,
How's it going?
let's break open
First
a beer or
question,
something.
can
Okay.
men get pregnant?
Can men get pregnant? What the fuck kind of a question is that? That's like me asking, can fish fly? Fuck no, men can't get pregnant. If you think otherwise, you may very well be medically retarded. You know, I never understood this whole concept of men getting pregnant, even on a conceptual level, and especially not from this guy, because if you want to have a kid, why the fuck did you become a man to do it? I don't understand. Maybe there's some kind of enlightenment I haven't reached yet that lets me understand why you, a female, would want to appear male and then go on to do the most female thing possible, which is give birth. That shit is ridiculous, and the fact that this is somehow even an argument makes me understand why aliens don't visit Earth. And I'm a firm believer of if you have dick and balls, you're a man, and you're a woman otherwise. No ifs, no buts. So, biologically speaking, no, men cannot, in fact, get pregnant. And unfortunately for this guy, science does not care about your feelings.
Men cannot get pregnant.
Okay.
And this guy, why does he look surprised at all? Did he not pass 5th grade science? I don't understand.
Awesome. So,
Definitionally.
definitionally, okay. Do men experience SA?
What the fuck is essay? Like the thing college students write and makes their lives miserable? Or are we speaking Spanish here? You're really gonna have to clear this one up. Even Ben Shapiro looks confused.
Sexual assault.
Alright, I don't know why we need that acronym. Just say sexual assault, it really isn't that much harder. I mean, it's not like we're trying to make it a more kid-friendly topic by abbreviating it. You know, I thought he was talking about the shit you see on fire diamonds that stands for simple asphyxiant when I heard essay. And the question itself, do men experience sexual assault? What's next? Are you going to ask if the earth is round as well? Nah, who am I kidding? I'm sure this guy believes that the earth is flat and vaccines don't work as well.
Sure.
Got it. What about the existence of trans men?
What about the existence? Do you mean
That question is so vague you might as well be asking, so, whether, huh? I don't know what this guy wanted to hear. Trans men sure do exist. Now, men who can get pregnant, on the other hand, they do not, which I'm pretty sure is what this guy wanted to get at with Ben. But unfortunately for this guy, most people have an IQ higher than room temperature, so that shit wasn't gonna work.
women who believe that they are men? What are we talking about here? Women experiencing gender dysphoria?
So, my other question is, do you benefit from white supremacy in any way, shape, or form?
Alright, fuck the previous question, I guess. Throw that shit right into the dumpster. I don't think anyone knows what kind of scheme he was brewing up with these questions because he obviously isn't looking for a response. This sounds like a poorly written high school introduction to a speech where they just fire off a bunch of questions because they heard that asking questions is a good attention getter. And the question itself, what the fuck does that have to do with anything at all here? Do you benefit from white supremacy? You're also white. What point are you trying to make here?
I'm going to need more specifics on what you mean by white
Well, here, let me
supremacy.
give it to you then.
Sure, please.
So, I'm a transgender man.
Okay.
Yeah, clearly, you know, slamming that chair around and all that really accentuates the masculinity here, or lack thereof, rather. Take notes, everyone. This is a textbook example of a very serious illness called not having a fucking Y chromosome. So she's just being overtly stereotypical of what she thinks men act like. Or maybe she's just super insecure and is trying her best to appear to have control over the situation, which I also find amusing. Ooh, or maybe this is some type of intimidation tactic because she secretly feels threatened by him. Ah, who am I kidding? I'm looking too deep into this. It's just some idiot making a fool of themselves.
I've experienced SA.
Okay.
And abortion rights affect me directly. So,
Yeah, but how though? Now, I'm not gonna fight him on the sexual assault part because I obviously can't fact check that, but he doesn't go on to explain his point. You know, he doesn't go on to explain how abortion rights affect him directly. He just drops that load of shit right there and thinks he's winning the debate here. I don't I understand now why it is harder to argue with idiots than it is to argue with actual intelligent people.
if we're talking about the American dream that you live,
So-
why don't I have access to that?
I don't know. Is that why you became a man so you could get a bigger slice of the American dream pie? Buddy, we are all in the same shit show right now. The economy's fucked, the job market's fucked. We are all getting fucked equally.
Because there's no legislation, in the history of America, that legislates a man's body, so why does mine have to be legislated?
Now wait a fucking moment here. This is just a whole load of baloney. If transgender men exist, and trans men are men too, and abortion rights affect transgender men according to yourself, then how is there no legislation that affects men? Great, awesome, so fuck logic, I guess. And actually, if you think about it for more than 2 seconds, most laws regulate what you can and can't do with your body. For example, a man cannot kill, and a man cannot rape either. Now, whether those two things are ethical or not is an entirely another topic, but objectively speaking, these laws dictate what you can and cannot do with your body. If we didn't live in a functional society where we could be pieces of shit like this guy and survived like wild animals, we would have rapes and murders every single day. And actually, just to keep dogpiling this point, since you consider yourself a man, have you signed up for selective service yet? I would bet my left testicle you'd revert back to woman in a fucking heartbeat. Now, I haven't fought on the front lines either, but the law says that if shit becomes necessary, then I am legally forced to go, fight in a goddamn war, which I feel like is a little bit more hardcore than abortion laws.
I've got a vagina.
I'm not interested in what your genitalia are.
Clearly you are. I mean, it's all over everything you make, buddy. I'm sorry. I hate to say it to you, but
I think you can read on my face that I radically am not.
Have.
I think you can read on my face that I radically am not. When we're talking about
No,
abortion,
I don't. I mean, you can present it here, but in most of the content that you have, you attack my community constantly. And you don't even realize guys like me exist, who actually share a lot of similarities to you.
Buddy, you just said you've got a vagina. There is absolutely nothing similar between you and I. The only thing similar between you and I is the fact that we live on the same rock in space.
And everything, because I'm a married man of 20 years.
I've
got a wife.
I recognize that you exist. I disagree with your
Right,
claim
so
that you
if
are a
I
male.
was sexually assaulted, right, and I didn't have access to that abortion care, do you believe that I should have carried that child to term because
What does
I
this
was
have to-
sexually assaulted?
I mean, come on, it's just a clothes hanger.
No, I just want to make sure that that's what you believe. Because as a transgender man, I have seen your side of the entire political debate, never ever having the conversation of what an American freedom is. Because why am I not allowed to live my American freedom as a man?
I don't know, you tell me. Why are you not allowed to live your freedom as a man? I mean, there's nothing stopping you from dressing up and looking like a man if you want to. You're doing it right now, in fact. Maybe if you weren't such a piece of shit and made the fact that you're a transgender a core part of your personality, you wouldn't get spit roasted and then feel oppressed every single day of your life.
You know, I mean, you get your choice as a man to live and free and all that.
You're really moving around terminology very wildly here,
and so are you, because that's the tactics you play in your game, and you've done it the entire time. You've jumped from one subject to the next. You speak so fast, and I know how you work. So how does it feel to have it in your face?
So you're a hypocrite then. Awesome. That seems to be a running theme with this whole entire argument. If you can even call it that, it's less of an argument, more of a Reddit thread, which seems fitting for his character. And what the fuck is this woman doing? It looks like she's having a malfunction, or maybe the wrong neurons fired inside of her brain. I don't know what's going on in that department.
Oh, well, I mean...
Because I'm sick and tired of the shit that you have put against my community, especially black trans women. Because you constantly disregard all of our needs and then use us politically as a pawn when we're 1% of the population. Why not focus on the economy itself?
How does one guy say so much, yet so little simultaneously? I couldn't decipher a single goddamn point he tried to make. I guess he's mad that transgenders are a big part of Ben Shapiro's whole shtick, so this has gone from an actual debate to just insulting Ben Shapiro directly, which is just very childish. But being childish is pretty on par with the fact that he's a transgender. He still likes to play make-believe from when he was 12. You know, she put on one of those fake mustaches you get at Party City, and it was over at that point. She had discovered her real self, as they like to say. And what the fuck is this woman cheering for? The fact that he's making a fool of himself? In that case, fuck yeah, raise the roof, you know, start twirling your shirt in the air like you're at a frat party. If not, which is the likelier option here, then this is who's rooting for Team Transgender, I guess. The girl with the ring on her nose, two ballpoint needles between her eyes, and hair that looks like the mop I threw away 5 years ago.
All of us are struggling, and you want to focus on trans people. You want to focus on a black woman when this is clearly a glass cliff situation. America's falling apart.
And what the fuck is Ben Shapiro supposed to do about that? Why don't you go be the change you want to see and talk about the economy? You know, we're 21st century people. It's not that hard to just fire up OBS and record yourself losing your goddamn mind into the microphone and then uploading that shit to YouTube. In fact, you could rally up 3 of your friends and start a podcast where you're just circle jerking each other and shitting on Ben Shapiro if you wanted. But I guess that's going to be a pretty Herculean task for this guy because we all know he doesn't have friends.
And let's give it to a woman right when it's all falling apart, when we'd had, 50 men run it and it looks like shit? Look at where we're at.
Ah yes, the economy was so shit that you decided to join the team ruining it, apparently. You know, most people decide to be transgender because they think their life is a lie and that the other gender is the real them. This guy, on the other hand, apparently became trans because being a man is so shitty that he just had to see for himself, I guess. His whole argument sounds like he practiced it in the mirror but just ended up arguing with himself, and that's where we are. It's fucking ridiculous. I also apologize if I'm cutting in a lot and just trying to talk about all his points because he talks so goddamn fast and none of it makes any sense.
Truly,
So-
where do you think that we're heading? I mean, it's so funny to watch
You've been going
white supremacy just fall apart the way that it is, and you ride so hard because guess what? In other countries around the world, women are not having children, and why is it? Because of the patriarchy and all the violence that men perpetuate.
And then he immediately jumps to this point, which is his first remotely coherent point he's made the entire time, and the point sucks ass anyways. He just attributes the fact that women in other countries aren't having kids to the patriarchy, which is weird because didn't he just say 2 seconds ago that he thinks the American economy is the biggest issue Ben should be talking about, but isn't? This guy doesn't even stop for a second to think about what he is saying. He just keeps spewing shit out like a clogged toilet. You can generally determine a person's intelligence by how they do things, you know. More often than not, intelligent people do things slowly. They'll take their time to think rather than just diving headfirst. And this guy does not display intelligence at all. He just keeps droning on about anything that even remotely relates to his point and will feed everyone else's ideas instead of just chilling out and taking a second to fucking think. But of course, that assumes thinking is high on this guy's set of skills, which, unlikely, to say the least.
And all of this idea that abortion is somehow going to solve it all by forcing women to have abortion instead of focusing on the real problems that we're facing in our society.
Is abortion not a real problem in our society? I thought it was, man. What happened? The more I listen to this guy, the more convinced I am that he is just 2 people in one. Ben Shapiro didn't need to argue with him because he is just having a conversation with himself here, and we're the spectators. 2 minutes ago, he said that there's no legislation on a man's body, yet there is on a woman, implying that abortion is a big deal. And now he's saying abortion is not as important as other things. What the fuck? I have to wonder, where did the producers even find someone like this? They must have pulled him out of the local insane asylum or something. And I don't think what he just said even registered in his head, and he's just trying to throw out as many buzzwords like white supremacy, patriarchy, abortion, the whole 9 yards, and everyone around him are eating it up like milk and cereal. It's almost like a hive mind. They probably don't even understand what the fuck he's saying, but just agree because he's transgender and he's the loudest one in the room.
We're just going to completely ignore that, and we're just going to go, you know what? The line item is, let's make women have babies so that we can continue this capitalistic society that we have.
So let me get this straight. You say that women in other countries aren't having kids because of the patriarchy, and now you're saying America is forcing women to have kids to continue capitalism. So either you support patriarchy or you support capitalism. I don't... Whose fucking side are you on? 1 second you say not having babies is bad, next you say having babies is bad. Make up your damn mind. And I apologize if it's hard to follow, but this guy's whole spiel is like the first draft of an unfinished speech. It is ridiculous.
Why are we doing that? What? I mean, why? Because you want to push white supremacy and because you want to make your check? It does great for you. Meanwhile, people like me have to live with the consequences of all of your rhetoric that you put on a daily basis.
What consequences? I mean, I'm glad Ben Shapiro's opinions mean that much to you, but I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but the consequences you suffer are due to your own actions. You know, the fact that you woke up one day and decided to be a trans man. And I don't give a shit if it's what you feel is right for yourself. This guy hardly knows what he even wants. One second he's fighting against women, next he's fighting for. But shitty arguments aside, the funny thing is, if you look at nature's law and strip humanity of our societies, our infrastructure, our technology, you will quickly find that transgender does not fucking exist in nature. Because in nature, you won't have time to care about what gender you are because you'd be busy trying to, survive. Every day we go outside and we aren't getting mauled by bears and fighting for our food is a day we defy nature's law. And this whole idea of transgender comes from our advancements in medical technology, being able to pump yourself full of testosterone or estrogen just so you can look and feel like another gender, which is quite literally perverting nature's law. You go look at 200, 300 years in the past and transgender just doesn't exist. It's not even a thought anyone has. And for most of human history, ever since we were, banging rocks together and drawing cave paintings to the creation of America, the idea of being transgender just wasn't a thing. The medical technology simply did not exist. And so this whole idea of swapping genders because you feel like it is quite literally a product of our technology. Strip all that away, and what are you left with? The gender you were born with, and your instincts to survive, rather than play pretend.
And including my entire community and the intersectionalities of Black women, men that experience SA, trans people, everyone that comes in. And I'm so sick of the idea that you can come in with this bravado, that you're this big guy that knows things because you can talk fast, you have statistics. But really, what does it really matter at the end of the day if you are harming the entire American, this guy's
harming the entire American what? The entire American population? Because if so, then you really need to get a filter on your mouth and process the shit you're gonna say before you actually say it. First you say transgenders make up 1% of the population, and now you say Ben Shapiro talking about transgenders harms the entire American population, is what I'm guessing he was going to say. How fucking stupid are you? The majority of people don't give a damn what gender you are. As long as you're a functional member of society, then life goes on. The only people who really get mad over this is the fraction of that 1% like yourself.
Been accused of rape. Trump. In court documents, and you're backing the guy. You have children. How could you do that to your own? Don't you have a daughter?
That's the beautiful thing about democracy. People are entitled to their own opinions. And even better, sometimes opinions piss people off, which makes it all the more funny.
What is wrong with you, dude? I've never seen such a party just completely the American idea, what we believe in as a country, is not what you're perpetuating. It's diversity. It's giving you tired, hungry, and poor. The Google phone you have in your pocket is because of all of the diversity we've had.
I don't know about that one, Chief. Usually shit gets done when people who are qualified for the job work on something. Diversity just so happens to be a byproduct of that. You can open doors to new groups of people all you want, but at the end of the day, the qualifications are what matter, which sucks because you look at modern day America and you've got companies hiring just to fill diversity quotas, which is basically giving a big middle finger to people who actually studied and are qualified to build shit like phones. This actually reminds me of that story where a metric fuckton of women went on strike in Iceland, and the only difference was that there was less traffic, more parking spots, less HR complaints, and the CEO said it was nice to finally get some shit done. That was pretty funny.
Pleasure to meet you.
And this guy has a wife. Do you beat her as well to assert your manliness? God must truly have a sense of humor if this guy who looks like he's one more Twinkie away from developing a beer belly and one more neck hair from turning into a full-on Discord mod can get a relationship, but I can't. And he pulls out all the tactics to seem as manly as possible. He's constantly being loud, flailing his arms around like one of those inflatable tube man things you see at car lots. He's manspreading like hell here despite having a vagina. I mean, he may be a woman at heart, but goddammit has he adopted the mindset of a real manly man, for sure.
Okay. There's a lot of tension in the room now. Let's stay cordial. Let's stay respectful.
The smugness of this guy irritates me. And what the fuck were the producers doing the entire time? Jerking off in the corner to how hard this meatball of a man owned Ben Shapiro? At what point did this guy have to insult Ben to where they would come in and go, alright, you know, that's enough. Knock it off. I mean, I thought this was supposed to be a debate, not some human sloppy Joe reciting his Reddit thread. And he thinks he's won the argument too. Joke's on him, there was no argument to begin with. He just embarrassed himself on the internet. And God forbid this guy has children, because he's gonna pass on those values onto them and grow them into pieces of shit as well. But thankfully this guy's got a pussy, so that shouldn't be a concern. Assuming his wife isn't actually a man, of course. Frankly speaking, I am appalled that this thing is allowed to be called the same gender as me, and this might as well be gender appropriation, what he's doing here. What a fucking disappointment to the human race you are. Does your mother love you? Is she proud of the fact that you turned into a man? But yeah, that's about it. Take it easy, everyone.